Everyone, welcome back to the show. It's nice to have you here. Fresh week, and I'm going to start it off on a I don't know. I wouldn't consider it a bummer because I didn't particularly care for these people, but we got fired. Actually, no. Well, we've been fired a couple times, but these people I actually liked, which is why it was surprising that we got fired. Now, I use the term fired loosely. There was no paperwork or anything between us and these prospective clients. They were planning on moving here from Northern California, which is typically your first red flag, the Bay Area, your second red flag. And they are not our traditional clients. So when I brought up the fact that I work with a lot of military, law enforcement, gun guys, the phone was silent. So who knows? Maybe that's why we got fired, because, you know, we're the devil because we like guns and shit. But we spent some time on the phone with them, and, you know, for about an hour, hour and a half, right? Really gave them some advisement about Utah, and here's some things you could consider. It helped them map out a timeline and all kinds of stuff, like genuinely a no time restrictions. Let's give you all the time that you need, and let's learn and get you guys up to speed. Sent them listings, all that kind of stuff, right? About a week later, I get a text and it just says, hey, this is, you know, whatever, fucking, you know, Sandra or something. And, hey, I was talking to a friend. Now, mind you, they found us through a friend, right? So a friend was like, oh, you got to call them, right? They've helped, you know, people that we know there in Salt Lake, and call them. So they found us through a friend, but she messages me and says, hey, we talked to a friend and we're going to go with a different agent who lives in that area. Now, mind you, this area is like 20 minutes from me, okay? And so the question really becomes, is this a valid excuse? Is this a reason to shit can? Underutilized term in the world, by the way. Is this a reason to shit can someone who's helped you? The answer, of course, would be no. Now, I'm biased in this case, of course. And this is no aggression, just, you know, helps my brain think, right? No, this is not a valid excuse. Now, the logic from this person would be that, okay, well, if I use an agent who lives in that local area, they're going to be able to tell me all the crazy shit. And they're going to be able to help me distinguish between the good parts of that city and the bad parts. Well, it's a very affluent area, so there's no bad parts, one. Two, there's a thing that humans have called fucking eyeballs. And typically you can drive through an area and you can figure out pretty quickly if it's a good area or not, okay? So if someone living there, if it takes them to help determine if it's a good area or not, then again, open your eyes, abre los ojos, okay? That was actually a Mexican film. Don't ask me why that just popped into my head. But abre los ojos, open your eyes, and look around, because you can figure out if it's a good area or not. So let me tell you the things that agent who lives there is going to help you determine. Here's where they become an advantage. They're going to help tell you things like local restaurants. Okay, they're going to help tell you where the closest park is, and where the closest gym is, and the movie theater, and things like that. Now, there's another way that you can learn about all those things, and that's called Google, right? If you have an internet connection or a vehicle, and you can simply drive around, or feet, and you can walk around and see where the restaurants are and the movie theater, right? So you don't need an agent that lives in a particular area because they're giving you any sort of secret advantage. They're not. All they're doing is being like, I'm a neighborhood expert because I live here. Cool, I live in whatever city inside of Salt Lake. Doesn't mean that like I'm some like fucking genius on my area because I live here. It's like, no, because I can tell you where the local McDonald's is, that means I'm a better agent? No, absolutely not. So what are the things that you actually need in an agent? And I don't know why I'm spicy right now, but yeah, I am. It's just, you know, part of my DNA. So here's what you need from an agent. You need them to be competent at finding listings. And that's not difficult to do, right? But taking your search, what you're interested in, help narrow down and go, look, here's half a dozen things that might work for you, okay? That's one thing that you need. Next thing you need is them to be able to run comps and to determine if the value that the price they're asking for this home is appropriate, right? That comes down to running comps. That's just simple data collection, which you'd be amazed how many people suck at. Writing contracts, which is very simple. At the end of the day, guys, hate to break it to you, it's filling in blanks. Literally, contracts are predetermined state forms. All you do is fill in the blanks. You know what that reminds you of? That's correct, second grade. So if you have a second grade education, you could probably figure out a real estate contract. And the last thing is compatible personalities. And if we split it into two big camps, I need an agent to be competent and I need to get along with them. Getting along with them is almost secondary to them being good at their job. But the reality is, yeah, you might be sharing a vehicle with them and riding around and spending a month of your or two of your life with communicating with this person. It would be great to get along. And that's why I say, compatible personalities does matter, which is why probably many people don't call me. They just see whatever this is and they're like, I don't need that in my life. And I understand, I understand, right? Like I'm not everybody's cup of tea and not everyone is my cup of tea, right? It goes both ways. So guys, keep that in mind, right? If you're ever talking to an agent and they seem competent, they seem like a decent person, you seem to get along, but then you talk to another agent and they're like, well, I live in the neighborhood. It doesn't fucking matter, okay? So stop. Move on from this. Let it go. You're using 1980s goofy retard logic that the internet doesn't exist, and you must stop. A couple bottles from the Whiskey Blendery out in Texas. And if you live in Texas, I just would highly recommend, if you're sleeping on this, I would not. Some of those great distilleries and just products in general are from companies that you haven't necessarily heard of because they're newer or smaller. And it's like they're more boutique, so you don't hear as much about them. And sometimes when you do hear about them, you're like, that's a pro tip right there. I'm going to take them up on that. So this was their Mary Cherry. So it is so it is considered actual bourbon versus whiskey, aka it was not finished in anything, doesn't have anything added into it, but it does have a cherry note. Allegedly, I haven't cracked that bottle yet, but really been enjoying the products that I've tried from them. Tried 2 or 3 different bottles from them. So check it out, especially if you're in Texas. It's worth a go. Subscribe to the channel, all that shit. If you need real estate help, that's what we do. So you can let us know. You can reach out in the comments below. We'll see it. We only get 2 comments a week, so we will see your comment and we will reply to it. Thanks so much. See you guys next time.